habits for me mean less decisions. Habits are part of my lifestyle. It is something ingrained in me that I am doing that I don't have to think about. I mean, you always have this simple example as brushing your teeth. That is a habit you do without thinking about it. You don't have to have strategy to do it. However, when you were a real itty bitty kid, your parents had to have some strategies to help you make brushing your teeth a habit. So we have to kind of get back to the foundational aspects of habit in order to build them in a very strategic, not overwhelming way in order for them to stick.
Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hey friend, welcome back to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm Jenn Trepeck, your host and health coach, here with you every week for wellness without the weirdness. And if you're a longtime listener, you may remember me saying that if your plan has you opting out of life, it's not your plan for life. And today's conversation aligns with that idea and focuses on the fitness side. So this is all about fitness and movement habits that help us train for life. Because if you're like me, you are not training for a marathon or a fitness competition or a magazine cover. So despite what a lot of the social media influencers and fitness people are showing us, it may or may not actually be for us, right? So I have a truly delightful expert. So let me introduce you. She's the host of Habit Hack Your Health, a top-ranked podcast that helps working moms habit hack their health in less time, guilt-free. From her own struggles and working with hundreds of moms as a personal trainer since 2016, she found that women need a more habit-based approach to their wellness in order for it to be sustainable. No more diets or quick fixes, but a system that allows you to train for life instead. She's now on a mission to redefine what health really means and equip you with the simple habit hacks you need to consistently take care of your health and show up as the best version of you from the inside out. She's a wife, #boy mom to 2 boys, certified personal trainer, Orange Theory coach, yoga and meditation instructor, behavior change specialist, and Taco Tuesday enthusiast. You already see why she and I get along so well. Welcome to the Salad with a Side of Fries family, Emily Nichols.
Yay, Jen. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so pumped to talk to you.
Same. I'm thrilled you're here. In a quick moment, we'll travel to Plug City for a second. So Emily's podcast is called Habit Hack Your Health. December of 2024. It's episode 276, which aired December 9th of 2024, featuring yours truly. We talked about habit hacking your willpower. So when you finish listening here, pop over there and give that one a listen to.
Yes, please do. It's a great episode.
Awesome. So Emily, I always like to start with a little more of your story, and we'll do that right after we tell our members what they're getting this week. So members, your recipe this week is in honor of Friday's July 4th holiday in the US. It's for healthy banana s'mores bites. Like, what could be more Americana than s'mores? And these are a healthier version. So you're going to get the recipe Friday morning on July 4th, but it's so easy you could still make it that day, or certainly that weekend if you're having people over or going somewhere for a barbecue or fireworks. So if you want this recipe, be sure you're a member. Go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries for just $10 a month. You get weekly recipes, a monthly article or tool, extra discounts from me and our partners, plus access to live Q&A sessions. It's a total deal when you take advantage of the full offerings. You save far more than that $10 cost. It's a no-brainer way to show yourself that your health is a priority. Plus, being a member supports this podcast and this community so we can continue to bring you new episodes and experts every week. So all you're going to do is go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries, or forget remembering the URL. Just click the link in the episode notes because that's a lot easier. You can do it now if you want. And then once you're there, you have that little I agree button, then support now, enter your email and payment info, click subscribe, and you're all set. You'll get this week's recipe for the healthy banana s'mores bites. All right, Emily, will you share more of your story? Because you went from being, as you describe it, a bit of a stress case and using, sugar and alcohol to take care of yourself, to really turning to fitness and taking care of your own needs, even as a mom.
Yeah. I mean, if we go way back 10 years ago to 2015 is where my journey to training for life really started. I was climbing the corporate ladder in a very demanding nonprofit job. I was trying to just be this Pinterest perfect mom. My husband was all over the place with his schedule for work, like second shift, night shift, weekends. We were just all over the place. And I was stressed. I was trying to do it all, be a perfectionist, be there for everybody. And my health was suffering. As I was stressed to the max, I'm like, okay, I'll just, I drove a lot for my job. So I would stop at the grocery store to get something for the kids. I get a package of cookies. I'm driving all day for work and I'm eating a cookie here, eating a cookie there. And I get home, I'm like, oh my gosh, the whole package is gone. And I would hide it under my car seat, just so embarrassed. But my body started craving it more. Or I'd have a glass of wine at night or 2 glasses of wine and I would feel not so great in the morning. And I used to be what I like to call the late cancel queen. I was like, every Monday, okay, I got that Monday high motivation. I'm going to schedule a 5 a.m. spin class. And alarm would go off and I would be like, nope, that's too early. And I'd get a late cancel fee. That stopped after about a month of my husband looking at our bank statement. It's like, what is going on? Because I know you're not going to spin classes at 5 a.m. You're snoozing, girlfriend. But I got to a point where it was just like, we as a team, my husband and I, we were like, we are not taking care of ourselves. We don't feel good. And it's not allowing us to show up as the best partners for each other, but also for our boys. And we want to set a good example for them. They're now 17 and 13, and we're kind of seeing the fruits of our labor from 10 years ago now. So we really just kind of teamed up and I was like, well, one of us just can't do it and the other, let's just focus on, eating healthy. I'm going to eliminate eating cookies in the car, just starting with one simple habit. For him, it was, I'm going to focus on better sleep habits because he was going back to a regular schedule. And we noticed, oh gosh, when we ate foods that fueled our body, I was more patient, I was more present, less stressed. And it inspired me to move my body more. And then as I started moving my body more, I felt like I kept getting this whisper in my ear, like, you should teach spin classes, not the girl teaching you. And so I went and got certified and I started teaching spin classes. I became a personal trainer. And 10 years later, I'm still coaching women, men, everybody in person and virtually through my Training for Life app. And it's really about, like you kind of alluded to, Jen, training for life, but from a habit-based perspective. Because what I noticed, and I'm sure you notice this as well with the women you work with, we know what we need to do. We're just not doing it because we don't have a strategy that works for us and for the way our minds work and all the tabs open in our heads. Yes, I want to open another tab and move my body, but girl, that just feels exhausting. I don't want to do it. So I have to have a simple strategy, something small to make that happen. So that's when I really dug deep into habit strategy and coach that on my podcast with my clients and bleed it into all of my fitness programming because it allows you to be consistent without it feeling rigid and more part of your lifestyle. So long story long, that's where we were 10 years ago. That's where we are now. And like I said, I'm seeing the fruits of my labors. I'm seeing my boys move their bodies when they're stressed and taking care of themselves. My husband has just pushed himself and found a way to really inspire our boys as well. So it's been a really cool journey. It's been really great to be able to serve and give back to other ladies as well.
Yeah, I love the idea that, when we do it for ourselves, that is in fact enough to impart that information and support those around us. Mm-hmm. But I want to go back to something you said. There's 2 things. One was the idea of like our strategy for how to do this. And all the tabs open in our heads. And the thing I hear all the time is, well, I just need to do it. And I'm like, yes, and that doesn't get us there, right? So the other piece is this word habits, because I think it's also become so trite. Like these words that we say, but ultimately like they kind of don't really have any meaning anymore. So I'd love to hear, how do you define habits or talk about them in a way that's maybe different from what we're hearing from everybody talking about habits so that we're all on the same page and maybe we can reframe it for ourselves too?
Yeah. When I think of habits, and it's such a hot word everyone uses and talks about, but from my perspective, habits for me mean less decisions. Habits are part of my lifestyle. It is something ingrained in me that I am doing that I don't have to think about. I mean, you always have this simple example as brushing your teeth. That is a habit you do without thinking about it. You don't have to have strategy to do it. However, when you were a real itty bitty kid, your parents had to have some strategies to help you make brushing your teeth a habit. So we have to kind of get back to the foundational aspects of habit in order to build them in a very strategic, not overwhelming way in order for them to stick. So that movement, for example, which is my favorite habit because it bleeds into so many other areas of my life, it just is part of me now. But it didn't used to be. I used to be the late cancel queen. Like, it took a while. It took a while to get there and to give myself grace and to find what works for me as I go through different seasons of life as well. So habits for me mean less decisions because it's something I'm just going to do unconsciously, but you have to start a strategy to make it happen.
Yeah, it's this idea. I love the way you explained it, because once it becomes a habit, it's less decision making. But in the beginning, it's not like we flip a switch and all of a sudden this thing is a habit. Mm-hmm. And so you sort of alluded to this just a second ago, that the fitness piece started to bleed into everything else, and you call it a keystone habit. So will you say more about keystone habits and what we can look for in our own lives to say, wait a minute, I am moving forward, even if it feels like this is still, effort?
Yeah. I love keystone habits because essentially what they are, Jen, it's a habit you're doing that inspire other healthy habits in your life. It's the foundation. It's holding everything up so it doesn't crumble, if you will. It's the centerpiece, the cornerstone, the keystone that will inspire you. Because I'm sure a lot of ladies, if you've noticed, the more you move your body, the more healthy foods you might eat, healthy for you, whatever that means, or you might notice, well, when I'm focusing on sleeping better, I'm having a better sleep routine, sleep habits at night, I'm a little more patient at work the next day, or I have a little bit more energy as well. So you have to think about what you're doing in your life. When you're doing this one habit, you're feeling consistent with it. Look for little indicators in other areas of your life that are like, well, that's a little more easier to eat healthier or make healthy decisions versus driving through the drive-through because I'm moving my body. I feel good physically. I have those happy hormones. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to go, load my plate with a protein, a carb, and a veggie versus like drive through Chick-fil-A one night, which is okay if you have to do that sometimes. I'm not saying Chick-fil-A is bad. We might have that for lunch later today because my kids are on summer break. But there's a way to do it in that you can inspire other healthy habits in your life. So look for it. It could be sleep. It could be devotional or meditation time. And when you do that, look to see how it supports you in other areas of your life and makes those decisions a little easier.
Yeah, I think I see the junk food piece a lot where those things become less appealing.
Yeah.
Like I always refer to, do you remember the movie Brittany Runs a Marathon?
Yeah.
So like to me, I always talk about that movie because it's like you saw it happen for her where because she wanted to have, an enjoyable run the next morning, she chose not to drink as much the night before. Or she started hanging out with these, with her running friends versus her other friends. And I think you told me about a study where people who worked out saw pictures of junk food.
Yeah. And they didn't crave it as much. They were kind of like, I don't think I want it anymore now. Right. So it's definitely training your brain and changing those neurotransmitters. And it's kind of the opposite too, Jen, right? The more junk food you eat or the more alcohol you drink, you're like, I don't really feel like working out, or then you talk not nice to yourself. So it could be a keystone habit in the opposite way too.
Yeah. So let's talk about this training for life piece. So when I talk about, having your plan for life, I'm talking about the plan that you can stick with for a lifetime and that allows for life to happen, like holidays and birthdays and travel and even at, more difficult times. And you might find comfort in food. That's okay, right? Yeah. So when you say train for life, what do you mean by that?
I mean, you're not working out to be a certain size or to be the means to a goal weight or a pant size. You're not eating foods to restrict and white knuckle your way through your meals. You're talking nice to yourself and making sleep a priority and rest and recovery and being gentle and graceful and forgiving of yourself when you are maybe in a harder season of life, where kind of like you just said, Jen, you're still able to incorporate these habits and switch them up, change them up based on the season of life that you're in. That's what training for life for me means. But especially, as we age as well, I'm working out my body so I can get off the floor. I can lift up grandkids someday. There's a lady that comes and takes classes with me. Her name is Mary. She doesn't drive. Her son drops her off for classes. She wears red lipstick. She's 87, and she is my example of training for life because she is just doing basic functional movements to help her get through her day. And she's the most pleasant person I've ever met. And that is an example of training for life for me as well.
I love it. Well, Mary is, my superhero also.
Goals.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So I want to pull this thread of training for life and get into the nitty gritty of what does that look like and deliver on also sort of the fitness habits that align with all of that. So that's coming up after we highlight our partner for this episode. Big thanks to DNA Miracles for supporting Salad with a Side of Fries. Because every child is a miracle, DNA Miracles provides the highest quality body and wellness products designed for babies, children, and expectant mothers. All products are gentle, easy to use, and 100% effective when used as directed. DNA Miracles partner with leading health professionals and scientists who follow the highest standards in ingredient selection to create the most effective skin, hair, and health solutions. As natural as possible, DNA Miracles is the best and safest option on the market for you and your little miracle. From expert pediatricians to real family testimonials, everyone has fallen in love with DNA Miracles. So talking about habits for life, helping littles in your life create habits for health is exactly what happens with DNA. So whether you go for the DNA Miracles Isotonics multivitamin, the DNA Miracles chewable probiotic, great for gum health too, for adults. I use it all the time, and breath. And the DNA Miracles Essential Omega-3, they're not going to break the bank at under $40 each. And I know you will agree the health of your littles is worth a couple dollars a day. Plus, those prices are before your 10% off and free shipping for being a Salad with a Side of Fries listener. So to get 10% off and free shipping, text the word miracles, MIRACLES, to 844-947-4846. You'll receive the link and coupon code right to your phone. Again, simply text the word miracles, MIRACLES, to 844-947-4846. This is a toll-free number. Standard text and data rates may apply. Okay, Emily, what does training for life look like?
It looks like moving your body. I'm a fitness instructor, I'm a personal trainer, and I always preface saying movement, whatever that looks like to you. So we work with a lot of women. So for me, my biggest thing is move your body, walk, get moving, get a walking pad if you're at a desk, a standing desk, get to moving your body, focus on movement throughout the day, not necessarily an actual workout, especially if you're just starting from square one. Also incorporating some type of resistance training, strength training to help that bone density, to help you be like Mary and get on and off the floor, do all the things you want to be able to do as you age. That's the movement piece. But as far as nutrition goes and training for life, it means finding your own sense of food freedom, eating in a way that is sustainable, but it leaves room for a little fun, something that fuels your body, but maybe fuels your soul as well. I'm a big fan, like you said, of tacos, big Taco Tuesday enthusiast here at our house. Boys have never questioned what we have for dinner on Tuesdays here in our home. So, but we're making tacos, we're having fresh salad and guacamole and a high protein with that. But maybe after we're done, we'll maybe go for a walk and have some ice cream later as well. So I just fueled my belly with some nutritious food. I'm fueling some time, a sweet treat with my kids as well, with no guilt in the mix as well. And then lastly, another training for life aspect is how you talk to yourself. How do you treat yourself? Because if you're coming from a place of self-limiting beliefs, negativity, or really just that all or nothing mentality we tend to have as women, you're probably going to end up doing nothing, because then it's just way too overwhelming. You feel like In the past, I tried to work out. I tried to eat healthy. I can't do it. I'll do it someday, or I'll do it never. I'm just stuck the way I am. And that's not reality. So it's flipping that script in your head and doing a little inner work, whatever that looks like for you. And it means if you're starting from square one, pick something super duper tiny. I love to start with, getting your steps in for the day. Get the data, see how many steps maybe you're getting in throughout the day, and think, okay, well, maybe I can add on 2,000 extra steps for the whole week, and just see how that can add up. See how you can incorporate little habits. Maybe you put a little cue on your calendar to get up every day at noon and just walk laps around your office, or get outside, or walk your dog, or just get outside and get some sunshine if you work from home. And again, it can be a keystone habit will inspire some of these other habits in your life. So for me, it really focuses on movement, the way you're fueling your body, the way you're treating yourself, and then picking one for this season of your life to start with and start implementing that.
Yeah. And I love your idea. Like, I'm a big fan of Post-it notes and alarms and things like that, right? So I love that you talked about how having that cue to get up and move, and those reminders, because again, when it goes back to this idea of habits or creating habits and expecting ourselves to do things and saying, oh, I just need to do it.
Exactly.
So what are some of the other pieces to creating this habit similar to that? Or what do we need to think about in forming habits?
Yeah, in forming habits, it can take a while. You've probably all heard the expression, it takes 21 days to form a habit. Okay, sure, plus or minus, give or take. But it takes about 90 days for something to become a lifestyle. That's 3 months, right? We give up before then, because a lot of times we want to see the results and we need to focus on what we're trying to get out. Are we moving our bodies because we're like, I just want to lose weight, or because Emily told me to on this podcast? Or if you dig a little deeper, Jen, into what I like to call your habit identity, who you really are and what habits are going to support who you are. So when I move my body, when I create that habit of movement throughout the day, whether it be steps or getting an actual workout in, or just doing some type of yoga flow before bed, that helps me with my identity, which part of my identity is I'm more patient and present with my kids when I move my body, right? And they realize it too. They're at the age now, they're like, Mom, do you need to go on a walk? Have you worked out today? Oh my goodness. So, you have to dig deep into not just surface level why you're doing this habit, but dig a little deeper. Like we said, create a cue with it and have some actual strategy and compile some data. Use a habit tracker. So over maybe a month's time, you can look and be like, oh, well, I did this, 15 out of 30 days of this month. That's amazing. Or you can see, well, this day, every Tuesday, it was really hard to get more steps in. So what's going on that day? Or maybe I need to get more steps in the next day because it's just not possible. So it's digging deep into your habit identity as far as that strategy goes, and then digging into some data for yourself as well. Because I always like to mention, sometimes, especially as women, we need the facts, not just the feelings, the data versus the drama, because we do get in our heads, right? We're like, well, I missed a day. I didn't get my step count. I'm just going to give up, versus having that data. You're like, okay, I did pretty darn good. I can keep going.
Yeah, I love what you're saying about, being in our heads, because the other thing that's in our heads for, all of us is this story of, I have to kill myself in a workout, or, I missed a day. Now I have to start over, or, right. All of these things that we've been told, or, also even like working out to change the body. Right. So I just threw out a whole bunch of things that we could probably address, individually. So where do you recommend people start with some of those? Maybe we start with like, killing yourself, or is a workout even an actual workout? Is it enough?
Yeah. Sometimes we think, like you said, we have to kill ourselves with a workout. But I would challenge you to ask yourself this: am I actually enjoying this workout? Because sometimes we think, I coach at Orange Theory. It can be a little intense for some folks. And some folks come the first time and their eyes are all big and they're like, this ain't for me. And sometimes I'll ask them, well, what'd you like to do when you were a kid? Like when you moved your body when you were a kid, what'd you like to do? And most of the time, a lot of times they might go, oh, I like dance. I'm like, oh, well, maybe you need to find a group fitness class that incorporates dance, or maybe you need to find something on YouTube you can do at home if that's something you really love. Or I loved riding my bike. Oh, let's find a spin class and do something fun. Or sometimes people are like, I wanted the challenge. I wanted to go a little harder. Great. Well, now you know a little bit about yourself. I think there's a fine line of making it fun and giving yourself a little bit more credit that you can do hard things, where you can find that medium point where you're like, well, I do want to challenge myself. I'm going to give myself, a chance at this workout, but I am going to incorporate other things that are fun and joyful and movement in that way. So when it comes to killing yourself during a workout, you don't have to do that. That's going to exhaust a lot of different things in us physically, and you're not going to get the results you want. And then you're not going to move your body at all, because then you're frustrated, all or nothing again. So you don't have to kill yourself. I would really encourage you to think back to, what do you like to do? And if you're like, I don't know what I like to do, go back to when you were a kid. How did you like to ride your bike? Did you like to dance? Did you like to jump rope? Have you lifted weights before? And start with that.
Yeah. And it also makes me think of, functional movement, right? Will you speak to that?
Mm-hmm. So functional movement is basic movements that you do every day that support what you do in life. So like a squat, I always use the example, like I squat down if I go to the store. I have 2 Labrador retrievers. So if I go to buy dog food, I'm buying a big bag, and I'm like, makes me feel really cool to squat down and pick it up. And a guy be like, oh, can I help you with that? I'm like, no, I got it. I'm using my squat. I'm not using my lower back. I'm using my glutes, raising up there. So it's basic movement. So even lunging, you think about lunging, we got to be able to walk up the stairs. You think of a shoulder press. You want to be able to get a glass off of the top of your cabinet. You think of hinging, right? We're hinging over to pick up something like we would in a deadlift. So it's these functional movements that support everyday activity, so you can keep doing those things.
And be like Mary.
Be like Mary.
Right. And then I'm trying to think of all the things that I threw at you before. Then speaking to even like the diet culture way of, working out to change the body.
Mm-hmm. It's okay if you want to change your body, right? I think that's perfectly okay, but that can't be your only goal, because you're going to get frustrated at some point, because this is long-term if you're wanting to change your body. And a lot of times we focus on the number on the scale when we're trying to change our body, versus if we're focusing on strength training and we're sculpting out our body, we're changing our body composition. And that means the scale might go up a little bit as well, as you're putting on more muscle mass, and maybe you're a little inflamed as you're lifting more and need to flush it out, or maybe you're incorporating some creatine as well. So we have to lose that mentality as far as connecting the number on the scale and what we're doing for our workout, and thinking about, okay, I am trying to sculpt my body and change it out. What's going to get me there? Most likely it's going to be some type of strength training. If you're able to lift weights with dumbbells or go to the gym and use a barbell, we have progressive overload programming in my Training for Life app, because it's so wholeheartedly what I believe in as far as what women need to be doing to help train for life like Mary, and seeing your body change over time versus just the number on the scale. So it's not just about body composition, it's about how you feel and that muscle mass you're putting on.
Yeah. And going back to this cornerstone habit piece of it, it's making me think of, I talk a lot about adjusting our barometers, how we measure progress, and expanding that to what you were saying before of how we show up for the other people in our lives and how we're sleeping. And what are some of the other things that you see people notice as, demonstrating their progress in ways that they wouldn't have connected it themselves or before?
Sure. I see their relationships improve with their partner. I see that as a big one, because they're feeling more confident in their body. They're feeling themselves a little bit. They're feeling a little sexy. They're like, okay, come on over. Versus like not feeling their best. I'm seeing in the way that they prepare their meals, right? Especially if we're focusing on strength training, we're focusing on, okay, I want to get enough protein in to help build my muscle mass and maintain it. So they're making different choices there. But also they're just proving to themselves they can do hard things. The most amazing thing ever is to see a woman doing a squat or a chest press or a deadlift, anything, and you bring them a heavier weight and they're like, I don't know if I can do that. They've been stuck like at that 50-pound mark for weeks. I'm like, just try 55. And they pick it up. And even if they just get a couple reps in, it's like, I just did that. What else can I do? Maybe I can have that hard conversation at work. Maybe I can speak up to my boss. Maybe I can, have this hard conversation with my friend. And it just spills into so many other areas of your life that you would just never realize unless you just kept sticking with it, not just for like a 30-day program or training for an event in your life. It's okay if you want to do that, but it has to go beyond that as well. And tracking that data as far as, even journaling, like, gosh, I just feel so much more confident. I just had this great time with my kids. I was able to go for a walk or meet a girlfriend for a walk, and I was able to support her. And I was able to just feel really good with my food choices today. And I feel like not inflamed, and it will just keep going versus like, okay, I made it to this event and now I just go back to the way I used to be. And that's where the yo-yoing comes into play. So that can really spill into so many other areas of your life if you just stick with it.
Yeah. And then the other piece that I think helps with sticking with it that I feel like people often forget is the reward part of all of this. So will you speak to sort of habit loops and choosing those rewards?
Yeah. So a habit loop, if you don't know, is a cue routine reward. We kind of alluded into that earlier. So you have some type of cue, whether it be a Post-it, something on your calendar, a visual cue, a time, a place, a music. There could be so many cues. The routine is the actual habit that you're doing. And then the reward is how you feel on the other side. And this is the hardest part of a habit loop. And this is what changes those neurotransmitters in your head to want you to crave to do the thing, right? So the reward could be something intangible. It could be something tangible. It could be so minute to you, but to literally change in your brain that I like doing this. I want to keep on doing it, right? So a reward could be as simple as after you complete a workout, write down how great you feel. Like, gosh, I just feel so good. I have these endorphins running through me. I was able to lift something heavy I never thought I did. Or I'm just really proud of myself for showing up to this class or going down to my basement and pressing play on a YouTube workout. I'm so proud of myself, and literally say it out loud. Like, go me. I did it. I did it. Right. But also you could also think about rewards as something tangible, right? When I first started moving my body more, I joined a running group here in my town just to meet other women. I was like, okay, they are probably other fitness, like positive women. We're going to meet at 5 a.m. and run. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even like running. But we would sit at Starbucks afterwards and have coffee. So that was my motivation, not the running. It was like, okay, I'm going to sit down, have coffee. Most of the time I didn't even get coffee. I just had a water, and we would just sit there and have like community together. It could be something like that. It could be if I work out, 21 days out of the 31 days of this month, I'm going to buy myself a cute new pair of leggings. I'm going to go be my Pilates girl area and get some cute little grippy socks. It could be as something that is so minute, but to you, it's going to change the game. Like I tell myself all the time, like if I meal prep ahead of time, so I know this isn't a fitness habit, but every time I meal prep and I eat that meal, I literally say, thank you, Emily from the past. Thank you so much. You totally saved my life. And that just reaffirms in your mind that this is something that I want to keep on doing, and closing that loop, changing the way you think about it and making you crave that habit.
Yeah, I love thanking your past self.
Yes.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, she was great.
Great. Oh my gosh.
I know. Awesome. So anything, before we do our rapid fire off topic questions, anything that we missed or that you really want to share as far as, or a final thought on, fitness habits to train for life?
Yeah. As far as fitness habits go, I feel like it's not our fault. Maybe your fitness habits haven't been sticking for you. You just need to think about it differently and lose the diet culture mentality that has just been so ingrained in our brains. And it's okay. It's okay. Like we're all still trying to unpack that years later. So give yourself a little grace. Start with one tiny habit that just brings you joy and get moving your body, and just watch, just wait. just watch, be a little patient to see how it's going to impact so many other areas of your life.
Yeah. Just watch. Just wait.
Just watch. Just wait.
It's the curiosity, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. It is time for a rapid fire off topic questions that I ask every expert who joins us. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
What's the best thing you've done for your health this week? What's the naughtiest thing you've done related to your health this week?
Ooh, I have started doing high rocks classes. One of my friends coaches them, and it's just been a really fun change up in my fitness schedule. It's literally 40 minutes or less, and it's been really fun to just challenge my body and do something a little different. And I think I'm going to do a high rocks competition in the fall just to try something different.
Wait, say more. What's High Rocks? Why don't I know what that
High
is?
Rocks, it's like hybrid functional training. So a lot of CrossFit gyms own it or kind of partner with their affiliates with High Rocks training, but I don't do CrossFit. This is more functional training. So you run like 1K and you do the ski erg. You run 1K and you row. You run 1K and you do a pull. You do a farmer's carry. And it's just a fun functional way of training for life. But I'm like, if we can tie a competition, and I'm not even like a competitive person, it's just more for me to go out and be like, okay, I can do hard things. So I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. Love it. And then what was the naughtiest thing? Because I interrupted you.
Oh, the naughtiest thing. Well, I don't like to say I'm good or bad when it comes.
Agreed. Nothing's really naughty.
My
It's just
habits.
balance.
Yeah, something naughty. So we're getting ready to go out of town, and I feel like so like counter like who I am. We're getting ready to go out of town. We have like 4 different teenagers coming to our house to dog sit. So I took my boys to the store and I was like, we're going to buy like all the frozen junk food in the world for these kids just to easily put in the air fryer and eat and have fun. And just while they're here, just eat whatever they want because they're all teenagers. And the boys are like, okay, we can help you pick out those foods. And, you know, the other day I was like, oh, I think I want to try a Hot Pocket.
Oh my God. I haven't had one of those in like 40 years,
Same,
30 years. Yeah.
Same. You're not missing much.
All right.
I guess that was naughty.
Right. If you weren't a trainer and the founder of Habit Hack Your Health, what would you do?
I think I'd love to be like a professional outdoor like tour guide, like take people on hikes or something and point out like really cool stuff.
That's so fun. Your favorite book on any topic other than your area of expertise, or you could give us a fiction book.
Okay. So I can't say Atomic Habits, huh?
Right.
I just finished listening to Matthew Perry's autobiography, and it was really endearing and sad at the same time. But it was just really showed someone with addiction and how they came through on the other side. And it was just a really inspiring story, especially to hear in his own voice because I listened to it.
Yeah, I've heard so many good things about it.
Yeah.
If you could cure one ailment, disease, or sickness, what would it be?
Okay, it's a toss-up. So any type of congenital heart defect, because my oldest son was born with a congenital heart defect and he's had 2 open heart surgeries and he's amazing. Like he's more concerned about stuff for school than ever. Like the last time he had surgery, he was 12 and he was like, it's no big deal. And I'm like, it's open heart surgery. So I would definitely cure that, but also autism as well. My sister has a little boy who is autistic and anything we could do to help him, I'm all for it.
I love it. Good stories too. All right. If you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
Ooh, I would want to fly. That way I could fly and get to really cool places quickly.
Yes. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Ooh, feeling overstimulated, like lots of loud noises all at once. Like I feel like I get very overstimulated and I'm like, everyone has to turn everything off now. Like I'm going to crawl up the wall.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
All right. Last one, in your opinion, what's the next frontier in wellness?
You know, I'm seeing a lot of folks using AI and a lot of digital fitness in the mix as well. You know, like 2020, I got a Peloton like everyone else and having like a virtual instructor. You know, I have my own app where I coach people online as well and virtually as well. I think group fitness is always going to be there, but I think there's going to be some type of AI or more data driven, like wearing heart rate monitors or looking at AI data like that to help you keep on with your workouts versus just showing up and hoping for the best.
Excellent. Well, Emily Nichols, thank you so much for being here. Tell everybody how to connect with you, where to learn more, find your podcast, all the things.
Sure. Well, again, thank you so much for having me on, Jen. It's so great talking to you again. Everyone can come find Habit Hack Your Health wherever you listen to your podcast. While you're there, make sure to go leave Jen a 5-star review for her podcast as well while you're on the app. And you can find all the links to find me on there as well.
And we'll put links to everything in the episode notes, so it's easy for everybody to find it all. So thank you again for being here. Truly appreciate your time, your energy, and just your approach with talking about it. We're so aligned, and I appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks so much, Jen.
Absolutely. All right, friends, on Friday, in this week's bite-sized bonus episode Nutrition Nugget, we're talking about Fairlife protein shakes. So shout out to Kelly S., who submitted this nutrition nugget request. She emailed saying that she loves the chocolate protein shake and asked if we could do a nutrition nugget about them. So that's coming to you this Friday in our bite-sized bonus episode. So be sure wherever you're listening, click the plus sign or the follow button, and then your app will alert you when it goes live on Friday morning. Well, as always, everybody, I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I'm at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Website is asaladwithasideofries.com. Pick your platform, send a message. I love hearing your takeaways, your ideas, your questions. Like Kelly, share your ideas. This is also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your health coach. Emily Nichols, one more time, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jen.
Absolutely. And friends, if you're not already, join our membership by going to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. This shows your support for this podcast, this community, and most importantly, your health. You'll get this week's recipe for the healthy banana s'mores bites. So until next week, remember, training for life means movements that mimic your everyday activities, which means doing our everyday activities with a bit more intention, and that translates into fitness habits. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.